Hey everyone, it's JD with Wildwood Wedding Films. I decided to make a whole channel just on marketing. It's going to be a Wildwood marketing. I may eventually build a website around it, but for right now, it's just a YouTube channel. It'll enable me to separate the content from marketing versus my wedding films and photography business. Because I got a lot of traction on my Google negative keywords, even from people who are not in the wedding industry, wanted to know more about what is what does all this mean for me and why are my ads not making money. That's the most common refrain is people, maybe they see some sort of get $25 free, or maybe it's even more than that, get $100 free, start a Google ads campaign, and all of a sudden they realize they're not making any money. It's actually losing money, their ads campaign. So I want to talk to you today about narrow versus broad. What I mean by that is your market, your target consumer, your audience. Is this a broad audience? Something that we could sell a product or service to anyone. An example would be Red Bull. Most people over the age of 18 or even younger would love a Red Bull. They would love a Coca-Cola, or maybe a gym service. Anyone could be in the market for it. It's a relatively low cost. If we're talking something that's a few dollars, we could have someone who doesn't have a lot of money. We could have someone with a lot of money. They would still be interested in the product no matter how much money they have. They are not in a particular point in their life. So it's a very broad service or product we could sell. An example would be if you're Walmart and you're getting people in the door, then you have a lot of products that anyone could buy. That all sorts of people, men, women, young, old, every demographic would be interested in. On the other hand, and this is probably you, and if you're found this video and you're wondering why your money is just being burned in the street when you do Google ad campaigns, it's because you are probably a narrow product or a narrow service. And for me, it's wedding photography or videography, and it's only for a select group of people who have a certain amount of money in a specific area at a very specific point in their life. So I'm very narrow. And because of that, if your product is anywhere similar to mine, if you use the default Google Ads settings, which is broad match. In fact, you'll constantly get notifications for Google. You could get more of X, Y, or Z conversions for using broad match. I've never found that to be true. I'd love for someone at Google to show me why I'm wrong with that, but I've never found for a narrow business like mine, a niche business like mine, with a thin market, the opposite of, say, Walmart, Red Bull, Coca-Cola, gym, 24-hour fitness, etc. I've never found it to work for me. So by default, Google Ads is broad. In fact, they use the broad match keyword as that's their actual use of the word broad. And so it's really narrow versus broad. Now, if you have a broad campaign and you have a narrow product or service, you're probably going to lose money. We use the term CAC, or customer acquisition cost. And so you're going to get a lot of clicks, because this is the other thing that's really important to note is if you set up a campaign, unless it's something really, I don't know, really odd, that you sell something that no one's searching for, which probably means you're going to go out of business anyhow. But if you sell a product that people buy, even if it's very few people, like wedding photography or videography, you're going to get clicks. Google will get you clicks, and every one of those clicks will cost you, and every year the cost seems to go up, and right now it's very expensive. And as those clicks go up, and depending upon how effective your website is at getting that information from the people that are visiting it, the cost to acquire a customer can be very high. And so if you have a narrow product or service, the cost can be so high using Google Ads that it's not worth your time or effort. And so I do want you to note, though, that if you have been using broad keywords, that is, there's no quotation marks or there's no bracket on the end of the keywords, and you'll have to go under your keywords in Google Ads to look. If you just use the default, which is you just type in the word or phrase separated by a comma, you are using broad match. And if you have not gone in, you have not manually entered negative keywords, times where you do not want your product or service to appear. If you have not entered, and I use phrase match negative keywords, and that's in another video that I have up there. If you have not done that, you are basically using a broad campaign for your narrow product or service, and you're going to lose money. I could be wrong. Maybe there's some instance where someone will get a low customer acquisition cost despite this. I have not seen it yet. And so I'm always telling people who are listening, and now I can tell the whole world, phrase match is what you want. And if you have a narrow product or service. And so you're getting specific queries. And then you're also going to need to use negative keywords. Again, that's in another video. So to make sure you do not appear in too many searches where people will not buy your product or service. You need to get in front of the person who's an eligible consumer for your product or service. And a good example, and this is talked about in my negative keywords video, if you're in wedding photography or videography, there's always thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people who are thinking about entering the wedding photography or videography market. They want to become a wedding photographer or videographer. So if you don't have the right negative keywords, you're going to get them to come up as well, and they're going to click on your ad because you're going to be the first, second, or third thing they see. They just click. I don't know why, but people love to click on your ad even if it doesn't make sense for their product or service. And I always ask myself this, Nike, I've seen this before, I search for a specific type of shoe that's made by a different brand, say Asics. Asics running shoes. Nike has the confidence that oftentimes they'll bid for that Google ad keyword to be first, and they'll feel so confident that they can convert that potential person to buy their product. For me, I don't have that confidence that I'm going to necessarily be able to sway someone who's looking for something specific that's not me. So I always want you to think about that as well when you're doing your Google ads. Okay, so again, broad match has never worked for me at all. You got to have phrase match, and you might need hundreds of negative keywords. For me right now, I just have a few phrase match, not very many. And then, and the important thing here is, there's this idea in marketing and sales that you need to hear no 100 times so that you can then sort of see what's working. The problem is when people go to your website and then they don't submit the form or they don't contact you, you can't get any data from that. And so if you're sending people who are ineligible consumers who are never going to buy your product to your website, you're not getting good data because maybe your copywriting does need to be refined. Maybe you do need to do some testing on the layout. Maybe even you have enough money to do A and B testing and see what works better. The problem is if you're sending customers there who are never going to buy your product or service, then you're not getting good no data, which is why are they not doing this? And if I did switch the layout, or if I did put a form up higher and I did make the form one less click, or if I did put several big images that maybe show my product better, am I going to get more leads from that? You won't know that if you're getting bad clicks. Okay, so again, I really want you to think about in terms of when your funnel is getting started, Are you pouring in the right people? If it's too broad, it's not going to work. So in my opinion, steer clear of those broad match keywords and make sure you use phrase match. And I like phrase match both for your regular keywords and for your negative keywords. Next steps, watch my negative keywords video. I'm going to try and upload it on this channel as well. This channel is going to be very bare bones for a minute. You know, I'm just using really simple spreadsheet software right now. It's not going to have a lot of razzle dazzle to it. Maybe I'll make a logo and some other stuff in a little bit, but wedding season is just kicking up, so I won't have a lot of time to devote to it. Subscribe to the new channel. If you're watching this on the wedding channel, go find the new channel, Wildwood Marketing PDX. Here's the link. I'll put a link down below as well. And a lot of people have asked me, can you help me with this? I can, for a 2-hour consult, and that would go over everything from your landing pages to what your goals are, the way you acquire customers, then what are you doing when you do acquire them, and then your Google campaigns, etc. It's $250 for a 2-hour consult. As always, I do want to make sure you know that Google Ads is a real learning opportunity. It will take you a bit before you get your customer acquisition cost to a reasonable amount, and then you're then making money from it. Some areas and some products or services are never able to make it work. So I just want to say that good on you for making the effort, because it is really hard. Just know with effort, hopefully you will be able to get those customer acquisition costs lower. And if you're losing money right now, hopefully you're learning something. So thank you, and subscribe when you have a chance.